Wow. Jesus has a lot to say in today's gospel to his disciples and, of course, to us. Let's take a little journey through his words, shall we? As he heads to Jerusalem and enters it, Jesus knows that time is short. There is much that his disciples need to hear and understand. They are in Jerusalem, and his disciples are admiring the temple. They have every reason to admire it. Herod has done a great job and spent a lot of money on building it. It sparkles. It's grand. It was adorned with beautiful stones. Remember that many of Jesus' disciples were common folk from Galilee. It must have taken their breath away. Can you relate to that reaction on your travels, perhaps, when you see something? I can relate, because one of the joys of living in Sacramento was how close we were to Lake Tahoe. I've often described Lake Tahoe as a place where God kissed the earth. And you could get there, take an I-80, and it would take you to North Lake Tahoe, which was boring, or you could take 50, which as you got up into the hills was meandering. And there was a point there that the road took a large curve, and when you came around that curve, the lake was just there. Oh, I can't tell you how many times we've taken that trip, and it took my breath away every time. But Jesus is having none of this. He warns them about putting too much confidence in impermanent human-made things. He says, "As for these things that you see, the days will come when not one stone will be left upon another, all will be thrown down." Whoa, they must have thought. It's only just been completed after many years of building. What are you talking about? And Jesus isn't done, not by a long shot. He goes on to describe what those times will look and feel like in excruciating detail. Wars, insurrection, nation upon nation, earthquakes, famines, plagues. I don't think he left anything out. And personal persecution. In short, it'll be bad. It'll be very, very bad. And I can imagine the disciples there going, "Dude, we were just admiring the beauty of the temple." As always, I always ask, what is Jesus saying to us? What do we see around us that seems permanent, stable, powerful? Certainly, we can see things crumbling and some chaos going on in our world. But here's the thing. Judaism survived the destruction of the temple. And in reality, it opened the way for more local, home-based worship, very, very much being celebrated with families. I don't know if any of you have ever had the joy of celebrating a Seder in a Jewish home. It is amazing. For every ending, there is a beginning. We can also look at Jesus on the cross. Jesus had told his disciples, "I have to go in order for the advocate to come for you." So even when Jesus' ministry on earth ended, there was a new beginning with the Holy Spirit for each of us. Closer to home, what about our ministries, our buildings? What might we need to walk away from in order to allow room for new beginnings? As we enter into a new church year, we are evaluating our ministries. We are seeking to discern what we are here to do and how to do it. We are looking at our mission statement, our budget, and how we use our facilities. We recently won a grant to implement Playground to accommodate children in our worship time. Joy, a new beginning. We are in conversations with new outreach ministries, looking to join with those around us to better serve those living on the margins. It wasn't so very long ago, my friends, that our outreach was primarily, not exclusively, but primarily being very generous with money, with our funds, to support other ministries, associated ministries, and others who were doing great things. Well, that had to give way to allow the beautiful, active, hands-on ministries that we are now doing and that we are looking to do in the future. Endings and beginnings. What will we have to set aside to enable these new endeavors? These are difficult discussions and difficult decisions. But so often that's the case. Jesus ends with a promise. He says, "Do not prepare your defense in advance. I will give you words and a wisdom that none of your opponents will be able to withstand or contradict. Not a hair of your head will perish. By your endurance, you will gain your souls." Do we believe this? Do we really deeply believe this? It is so easy to see human achievements and structures as permanent and powerful, but real power is in faith. This passage is less about predicting a destruction of a temple, which of course by the time Luke wrote this had already happened. And it is more about finding meaning in endings, in difficult journeys, and how to move forward. How do people of faith respond? Faith means being faithful to God's mission. And God's mission throughout the Gospels and the letters, throughout the Bible, the Old Testament, God's mission is to feed those who are hungry, to care for the vulnerable, to care for ourselves. It also means knowing that God is always faithful to us. Jesus' promise is God's promise. At the end of the day, it's about faith. Faith that the Holy Spirit has a mission for us, because she does. Faith that Jesus will be with us as we walk into that mission, however difficult. And faith that with every ending, there is a new beginning. Faith that by your endurance, you will gain your souls.